All right, all right. Happy Monday. Not a usual time for us to be on, but that is okay. Uh, we don't usually do a show. Right now, I'm looking out. It's dark. It's dark and black. It's kind of cold and wet. Not real cold, but kind of just nasty out. New York is visible and looking pretty good tonight. It's clear. We had snow this week, blah, blah, blah. But uh, as they say, let's let the hell with the ball. Let's bring on some music. Tonight I've got a band from Florida, and Florida, as many of you know, has got a lot of great rock and roll, and particularly in the hardcore and metal, dark metal, all these various forms came out of the area back in the 80s, 90s. There's a lot of great bands. Today we have a new band called IRATE, and I'm going to bring them on in just a second, and I'll beautiful children. On that note, I'm going to bring them into the show, and please give them a welcome and say hello.
Hey,
Hello,
what's up?
hey, what's happening?
Hey, man, how you guys doing?
Good. Doing great.
Excellent, excellent. Well, tell me, what are you guys doing these days? COVID's going on. Everybody's sitting here woodshedding, networking, doing all these things. What have you guys been up to for the past, year almost now?
Well, right off the bat, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for having us on the show.
Yes, thank you.
You'll never know. We're extremely appreciative. But like you said, with this COVID thing that's going on, we have two of our members that's coming in. They'll be here in a few moments to join us. But with what you said with COVID, it's literally helped us. It's given us time to put together the ensemble that we have, to literally place in a few key pieces that we have been looking for this sound to be exactly the way it's supposed to be. I can't say anything but good things about COVID in the music world on this, because it gave us time to grab a hold of what we really want to be and put out something that's worked, that what the rest of the world wants to hear is going to be placed in their ears.
Well, it's good, and I notice a lot of musicians making hay, and of course, we all wish we could get more dollars while making hay, but it's like anything. You have to just keep working, and music's, for most of us who perform, it's not really that hard to start working, and if you've got good people around you, I can't think of a better thing to do, and, it's what we do. It's obviously most of us haven't done it for the money. I mean, the guys who do it for the money, I have many friends and they're great folks, but they had to stop and grow up. And sometimes rock and roll, like Lemmy, lived a long life. And creating till you're old, I think there's a lot of good things about that. I mean, I'd like to be 80 and, we had the metal monsters guys. And, at that age, I might decide, I've already jumped out of a plane and done some fun stuff, stupid stuff. But, that might be the next direction to go in. What can I tell you?
You're right.
I'm the oldest monster in the pit, swinging my cane around, going down fighting. It'd be great fun. So enough about me. Tell me, Sean, how did you come up with the name? Tell us how did you get here? When did you start in the music business? That's an easy question.
It goes all the way back to literally grade school for me, singing in choir in church. And one of the first things I learned when I was young was it was easy for me to stand in front of a crowd and to feel comfortable, where some people can't just do that right off the bat. But throughout those years, learning from band after band after band, it was noticing that you're always going to have a team, and sometimes that eclectic team can't work together. They're not a partnership. And the difference here is IRATE was really originated in 2000. It went to where it was an ensemble of, we were trying to figure out what our sound was going to be and what we wanted to present. And it was more of trying to follow what was already placed out there in the world that everybody was listening to. Then it was, with the name, irate is what you normally feel throughout a year at some point in your life. And it's that point where there's anger in some part of you, but to get it out is to release it and to enjoy it, and it's almost like endorphins. It fills you up.
Sure.
And with these guys, the point was, it was all of us as a family and as a team, veterans that wanted to put something together that literally was of substance. I'm not saying anything, negative about anything in the music world. I'm 100% against anybody and everybody that touches the stage, doesn't touch the stage, or that practices in their mirror at home. but
Right.
we wanted to give back what people want to hear. And I go back to the 80s, I go back to the 90s, the 70s, where rock was really that sound that everybody wanted to hear at some point, and they could argue and say they didn't, but they did. And
Right.
it's been that roller coaster ride with all these other sounds that we've had coming out. We have to remember one thing: what started it all? Rock and roll. I don't care
Right.
how you look at it. We can go to blues. We can say it in any delivery we want. It was rock and roll that took music to that next level where people were on the edge of a ledge and ready to jump off.
Well, tell me, what were your personal influences as far as like some of the musicians that you really, when you were growing up, you just had those? I had lots of them, these aha moments. Tell me a little bit about when you were young and your background other than in church, because we know that's the basis of so many great musicians, particularly in the
Right.
South. Um,
Right.
the gospel tradition. Go ahead.
I grew up and we have friends. One of my mother's friends is Gladys Knight. So I grew up listening
Okay.
to a lot of R&B, a lot of gospel, but almost that edge of Motown. I'm originally from Illinois, so
Oh, yeah.
rock and roll was there. It was right next door in Wisconsin, like there's no tomorrow. So that's
Sure.
what I grew up on. It was anywhere from, we can go to the greats, to Michael Jackson, to Prince, to Buddy Holly. I put ZZ Top in there. I put the Scorps in there. I put Avenged. I can go backwards and start with Elvis Presley, because if I'm going to start with anybody that touched me probably more than anybody else, it was Elvis Presley. The man
Wow,
could take a guitar and could sing by himself, and just with the way he moved his hips and the way he danced on stage would
Sure.
capture everybody. So he was my idol growing up, and he's still my idol today.
Wow, I have to say, the king is looking over. He's looking over this conversation. So I know, Elvis, we're channeling you, my friend.
Yes.
He's back there. He's like, all right, Neil, some of that medicinal shit, blow it my way. Anyways, yep, I'm rocking with the king tonight. We are rocking with IRATE. I have Sean and I have Julie, who many of you are used to being on the other side of the microphone. Hi, Julie. I'm going to do my best not to. Tell me, the cool-looking dude on stage left. What's your name, mate?
Jeff.
Jeff. It's a
Yes.
pleasure to meet you, man.
Another pleasure
So,
to meet you too.
tell me, what about your influences? When you were coming up, what did you really grab on a hold of?
Early on, my aunt lived with us, and she was a big Beatles fan. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
mom was Elvis, and mom and dad, and they actually went to like the second to the last Elvis show there, where I grew up in Bay City,
tell me
Michigan. And
I'm sorry, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Bay City, Michigan,
Oh, wow.
home of
Probably
the Bay
something.
City Rollers, where the Dart landed, and Madonna, and
Right.
kind of killed his family too. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's going back way back. It's still Elvis. It's the Beatles. It's my older brother. Started me off with like AC/DC and
Okay.
with Bon Scott and Girls Got Rhythm and
Oh, great. I love that stuff.
stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
through high school, it was when Metallica hit. That was it. The world changed.
Yeah.
So,
Now,
then it was the big four.
Right.
Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, Slayer.
Yes.
We stuck with that, and I moved to Florida and played in a couple death metal bands, some speed metal to start off with, like in high school, and playing. Well, we still played a lot of Kiss. We still played a lot of the AC/DC and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right.
But Metallica really took it over.
It's funny you say that because I'm a little older than you, probably 10 years or so within range. And for me, when I was growing up, medical. Metal was like Black Sabbath and Dio and Rainbow and that's
Priest was
like
my
and Deep
favorite
Purple
album.
going back into that. All of these different sounds, they just mutated and in some cases really great in great ways. Like you said, for all of my friends who were just a little young, Metallica, and I remember hearing, it was back when you'd like wait for weeks for a CD or back when, even before a record to come out, you'd be like saving your paycheck from whatever gig you had to go buy like the new Floyd album or the new Stevie Wonder album. You know, you're talking about Prince, and I loved listening to Motown as a kid. I've been playing music for a long time, so like as we get older, that all gets kind of embedded in your DNA over time, and you know, practicing. And it's a homage when people say, "Wow, this guy sounds like," you know, maybe they say he sounds like, you know, Jimmy Page, and you know, it's a great honor. I mean, I've seen Jimmy, as we all have, and heavy metals. It's like such a diverse. Everybody's generational idea of what it is pretty different, you know.
Correct.
It's a good way to put it. Yeah.
And I think the bands that are more melodic is the stuff that I'm more drawn to than some of, you know, the thrash and stuff. But I dig it all, because anytime you're at a show, a band that's kicks ass, I don't care what they do. If they're a good band and they've got it down and they're pros and they're just knocking it out of the park. Yeah, that's what this is all about.
Yeah, it's about the act, and it's about you know, what you were saying, energy, and
It's like about their integrity too, and they have, you know, I like older bands, you know, when rock and roll wasn't so worried about making it a popularity contest, and they're like, they're spitting these little pop nuts, these pop rocks. It's like, think about it, like, you ever gone to Busch Gardens where they have the beer factory? And they're rolling them through.
Yes.
Well, somewhere in a basement in LA, they're sitting there ripping out these like Stepford fucking Barbie dolls, and they're like lining them up.
Right?
Yep.
Get on the pop radio and listen to that shit. It's like auto-tune. It sounds like Pee-wee's Playhouse has gone bad. And
Can I let loose?
Yes.
Can I let loose?
Yeah, man, you got to tell me about it, because you're, you know,
you just define what, because I'm sitting here and I'm holding back, and I'm restraining, because you defined everything that we are saying and we're about. I am about the show, and to everyone that watches your show, we are about the show. The show got lost, and if I sound like I'm choked up, I'm a little choked up, because I grew up with this. And I'm tired of seeing an act. And I'm going to say it just like that, an act. There was a point, thank you.
Yeah.
There was a point when you saw a show, you knew those people on that stage was giving every single thing they had. It wasn't just pre-scripted. It was, they couldn't wait to give you what they felt inside. And thank you.
Yes.
And just like Jeff just said, it's a life. It's you eat it, you breathe it. It doesn't matter if you see me outside or you see me in a place or I'm at home. The same way you see me right now is the way you'll see me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because that's who I am.
Exactly.
And I'm hurt at the fact, like you said, I don't like these pre-programmed articles of things that's happening. I don't. I will never ever speak negative, but this is a job. This is a love. This is our heart. This is our lives. And and like you said, COVID hit us, and it hit a lot of bands. But what I noticed was, like you said, oh, our drummer got in, and so did our lead guitarist. You'll see him in a second.
Well, bring him on in.
He's about to sit down, and I'm like I said, I'm going to keep going. This is Josh. This is our drummer.
Hey man, how are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Neil,
Good to know you.
I just want to throw a package out. We want, when someone hears us, they're screaming to hear us again. They're telling everybody they know, no matter what you've seen, no matter where you've gone, if you have, you better get your bottoms out to go see IRATE, because they're not a joke.
Right.
I've heard bands that sound like bands I heard in the 80s. We're not processed. We are that band that when you hear us, you will not forget us. You will remember us. We won't be that band when we leave the stage. You don't know our names. You'll talk to your friends as if we're your friends.
Well, you know, it's. I think we've got a great start. I know a little bit about all of you guys, and you've all got skill sets, sort of like, you know, these movies. Yes, we need a certain crew of people. I'm robbing the Bellagio. You look like you'll do. Let's get on the business. Yeah, you guys, I can actually see that. I'm kind of framing it out. Yeah.
Well, wait till you see our guitarist. He's coming in too.
Well, great. So tell me, Julie, I'm going to ask you, what were your earliest and What's your first rumble that really got you going? You just said, I got to go buy this. I don't care. I'm going to make effort to spend my money, but I got to have this record.
First music that influenced me. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Let's see. Well, I grew up listening to what my parents listened to, of course, which was Zeppelin. It was Clapton. It was, in every iteration of Clapton, and of course, I mean everybody. My dad went to high school with what's his name? That was the drummer that used to play with Clapton. What's his name? And he played with Springsteen.
Not Steve Gadd?
Steve Gadd, thank you. Yeah, my dad went to high school with him.
What a guy. The man, the legend.
Yeah, he has some good stories too. And but anyways, yeah, and and I come from a musical family on both sides. My dad's side of the family, they were all professional musicians, the big band era. Used to tour with Sinatra, Edie Gourmet, all those big band people, and did that their entire life. It's like, I'm a lifer too. I was born like this. For me, it's like, I'm just the catalyst. Like, there's music somewhere, and then it comes through me, transcends me, and goes out to the audience. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
Am I allowed to say ass?
Yeah, you can say whatever the fuck you want.
Okay, she's a badass bass player. Don't listen to that bullshit.
There you go, man. Well, you know what? I'm going to ask one more question. What was the first really metal band that you heard and you just went, holy shit, that just kicked my ass?
Judas Priest.
Queensryche.
Queensryche.
Yep.
All right.
You mean all of us?
Yeah.
Let me ask you, the guy in the mysterious man with the hat, he looks like he works for me. What's he doing down there?
That's our guitarist, man.
He's one of my brothers, man. He's part of the club. How you doing? I'm Neil.
Nice to meet you. Julie. There you go.
All right. Here we have it. Listen, this guy, you don't know him yet, Julie. Just be careful what you say around him. Everything's touchy. I have friends, a lot of friends,
Yeah, because you know me.
Tell him who you are.
What's that supposed
Who
to
am I?
Anyway, huh? Where are you from?
Who do you know?
I know boys in your neighborhood.
Have you read my manifesto is what I need to know.
Hey, forget about it. Your cousin's from Boston,
You can tell he's from Boston, can't you?
All right. Well, listen, it's nice to meet you. And drummer man, how long have you been playing? And what brought you together with these guys? And first, what was the first metal song that you kicked it? You heard it? You all of a sudden just grew up wanting to slap the shit out of a drum set forever.
Oh, yeah, so I actually started, my father played the drums, so he started me pretty young. So I would say I really started when I was about 7, and that was I guess I'm going with Inagata DeVita.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that shit was playing on the pillows and tin cans, when I was 7 years old. But I would say the song that first got me was probably Led Zeppelin's "Good Times, Bad Times." That double bass he was doing.
Oh yeah, yes.
It blew me out of the water. I didn't think I would ever be able to do anything like that.
You see why we got him?
Yeah, no. Anybody who tells me they grew up on Bonham, I like that because I did too. And it was really, once you heard John play, it was just such a change of your frequency rate that your clock speed went up.
I talk about that with anybody asking me who legendary drummers are, and I always say Bonham because he was so inspirational to what drummers have become. No one was doing what he was doing then.
Yep.
Well, I have a friend of mine who's making the definitive book. It's going to be out next October. CM Cowlings, wherever you are, man. He wrote the book about Warren Zevon, one of the latest ones, and he's interviewed 4,500 people. So I'm giving him a plug. If you want to check him out, private message me, and I'll send you. The book will be coming out next October. They've interviewed 4,500 people, and it will be the most and it will be the most exhaustive history of everyone who ever met, played with him, worked with him, went to school. It's an amazing, lot of footwork in what he did. And all I can say is if you like him, that's the plug for you wherever you are, mate. It's still early out west, so let's get back to the music, Sean. You're the nexus of the band. How did you meet these guys individually? What is the points? Who came in when, and what was the relationship prior?
I can tell you, first of all, it was no sleep for weeks. And when I say that, I'm not exaggerating. I can literally tell you there was one moment where there was 3 nights in a row, 3 days literally, I did not sleep for 2 hours, and it was all because of the fact of that built up tension inside of me. All these months, something drove me to the point of saying it was either you find these people or you don't. And I didn't care if it took me to China. I didn't care if it took me to London. I didn't care if it took me to Budapest. I was going to find the other key players. And I kept looking. I just kept searching and I kept searching. And then out of nowhere, the first person that came down the gamut was the gentleman that's sitting to my left. That would be the drummer.
Yes, I got it.
On
It's
the-
okay. In my head, I'm going, okay, it's stage left. No worries.
Yeah, stage left. You're right, because that's what I said. That's what I said. Yeah, you stage left.
You gotta put the symbols a little more to the right and left in the kick,
Yeah.
right?
So
I had to remind myself.
I had talked to no exaggeration over 20 drummers. I spoke to a drummer that was kind of close, that was in Georgia, and the mindset wasn't there. It was more of, hey, if we do this, this is cool, that'll be awesome. It wasn't, hey, I need and I have to do this.
Right.
And when I spoke to the Duke, because I'm gonna call him that, but when I spoke to that man, it was what he said to me, and I kept my mouth kind of shut, and I wanted to hear what he had to say. And when he told me it was his dad that he had learned drums from, and when he said some of his earlier beginnings was Led Zeppelin, I was sold, because somebody just doesn't say that. That's not something that you just spit out. It's got to be felt, and I could tell him when we talked face to face, I knew who he was inside, and that's the whole thing here is we're a family. This ain't a band. This is a family. This is a team, and and there's too many that have gotten away from it. So the start was this man, which is ironic because that's the drummer, and I'm like, okay, so I've found the drummer. Now I'm speeding this up for you, so it's going kind of fast because you don't get it. It was a process, but it was this man, and then next in line was a man with the accent and in the hat, and
That's right.
yep, and
They change from time to time.
that's Johnny G. I mean, you can hear he's from New England. We know the bands that have came from there. We know the strength and the validity of bands out of that area. But this man has so much volume that he
Johnny,
has.
where did you grow up? What part of New England?
Place called Federal Hill in Providence, Rhode Island.
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
Providence, Rhode Island.
Oh, Providence. Okay, got it, man. Eating some good seafood up that way for sure.
Oh yeah, Iggy's.
Yeah, man. Excellent. And what brought you to Florida? Just
Well, I traveled around a bit, playing in many different bands. I lived in Nashville for 5 years, did some stuff there, and then came to Florida.
well, you got a great hat in Nashville, didn't you?
Yeah, no, actually, I got this
That's
in
what
El
you asked
Paso.
me that. You know, I have to tease because I gave my hat to my guitar player not long ago. We were having a practice and we were trying to shoot video, and I thought I had this great looking hat. And I looked at it and I wanted to wear that hat. It looks fucking killer. But he's a long-haired guy. In fact, I could probably hire you and nobody would notice the difference because you both look like brothers. And
There you
they'll
go.
be like, hey, it's just Austin, man. He looks like he had a rough night. No,
I
I'm
do
kidding.
stunts. It's all good.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that.
That was good, man. I like this guy. All right. So I appreciate you being on the show with us. I really do. You are a fun bunch. And tell me, how many tunes right now do you have that you're really focused on, and what's the near-term, long-term goal for right now?
As far as a original product, we have 8. We plan to have 12 on the release. We're going to be doing covers because every band that's in the industry right now, no matter who they are, they're throwing out covers. We have the bigger bands right now throwing out covers that are bigger than their originals. So We're hitting those. We literally have something that's going to surprise the world, and that's going to be we're going to do a cover of a band that's enormous, and
We're not saying what.
we're not going to say
no.
what. Let's just say this:
Right.
when it hits people's ears, it's going to shock them, and then they're going to lose their mind.
There'll be some confusion when they first hear.
Well, I just know a few things, and I won't give away any bit of the gumbo
That's
or
fine.
sauces, but I've heard rumors that are cool, and I like what I hear. You know, from what I understand, there's oh shit, I don't even know how to put it. For a moment, I had a brilliant thought, but then it fleeted away like
I'm ready.
ganja.
Well, go. Do you remember your thought?
No, I'm just babbling away here at the moment, but
Well, you're doing a great job as
people are
always.
paying big bucks for this. You know what I mean?
Thank you, Neil.
Well, so I wanted to add back to your earlier question about how we got involved and everything. I wanted to say this band is different than any other band I've ever been in or tried out for or anything because nothing. I mean, I was always a replacement bassist. I think that's kind of we get used to that as bassists. Oh,
Right.
we need a new bassist. Oh, okay.
For sure.
And but it was different. I met Sean one-on-one, and we talked, and so he can get you know see where my head was and what I want and what I need, and I can see where his head is and what he's going for and what he wants and he needs. Then I met these two guys on the end, and we same thing, talked about it, and now I'm meeting this wonderful gentleman, and now here we are, we're all five.
Well, you know-
Voltron. So I mean, the fact is, it was just different.
That's a joke, by the way.
Yeah, it was like.
What the wonderful gentleman.
It was like
It's like a
there was
meatball.
it was the fact that it's important to have the personalities and the hang, as we talked with
Yes.
other guests before.
It-
The hang was
absolutely.
the most important thing. So
Yeah,
and that's-
personality is best mated with good talent. Because if it's not, the talent's not worth it if you can't hang and live with people. And
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly,
I've
and
had some of the most
that's-
difficult people. They were brilliant, but they couldn't be dealt with in a rational adult manner. You know, without
bands to this
all,
day.
getting
all
their
the time.
nose
And
bent out of shape or
and that's
hurt.
exactly what I wasn't looking for, and that's when Sean even asked me. I told him I said I've been doing that, all my life. I don't want to do that anymore. I need something different, and instead Sean vetted every single person, individually, and made sure we are all on the same page. I mean, that I've never, in all the years I've been playing, never had any band leader or anybody take that initiative and do that to make sure that people are safe and
a
comfortable.
leader. I'm not a leader. We're a team.
Yes.
I live by that.
That it is. A good leader doesn't have to tell everybody. It's obvious, and everybody's got their job to do. And if everybody's in the right head, I mean, I've been in bands my whole life since, I'm an old guy. I've been playing since I was 8 years old, and I feel very comfortable, and I know how to read. I've been through every possible story you could have heard or been lied to and cheated on, and the music business is a great place, and it's not for the faint-hearted. So people who've made that commitment to their life as a professional musician, it's a difficult field to plow. And not everybody makes those huge dollars, especially not on the timetable. There's always the changing technology, which the worst change in technology, and I'm going to get off my soapbox, is the way the legal industry has treated the musicians, and then people who are the talent acquisition companies. It's just, I could rag on it, but nothing I'm going to say, or I'm not the guy to go out and light a torch and run around with a pitchfork, because nobody gives a crap about musicians except musicians, and maybe the fan base or all of the super fans really care about you as a human being. But the world's a big place, and I think musicians we're kind of like psychiatrists and psychologists for people who are out there right now in kind of crazy times. And I don't care what people think about any of the big political things, because we're all human beings, and stuff like a disease terrifies the smart people in both parties to a reasonable level of terror, not running around freaking, but some kind of common sense shit. And I think it's hurt the music biz. I say maybe 2 years if we're lucky, like in New York and these major markets, things will be a lot farther along. I hope they're way farther, and I'm being conservative here. But living here, and I know you guys there, I see a lot of my friends in Tampa and Florida. There are gigs, but it seems to be mostly duos
Correct.
because of the table distancing and crap like that. But people are going to, when this all turns the corner, it's going to be like after the Depression.
It's still Florida's still probably the best in the United States about that. I mean, everybody else is so locked down. They ain't even eating
Absolutely.
outside for God's sakes. So I mean,
Yeah.
we still got some stuff going on. We can still eat inside. We're kind of we're ahead of the curve.
Still playing.
Well, that's good because the other thing, like that's unheard of up here. I mean, it's so locked down in New Jersey and about to get worse, from my understanding.
Yeah.
I just sit up here and I'm like being very careful. I've had medical issues over time, and I don't want to screw around. But I'm not one of those guys either who's going to run around and freak out. I mean, I manage my life carefully. My life is great. It hasn't changed really for the bad. I worry more about the people who are out there, the server, people who work at clubs, the barmaids, the bartenders, the wait staff, the musicians. Like here, there is some amazing heavy talent that is A-list talent that's usually making way more money than I've made ever, and they're like all hanging around. But I'm an optimist. I think like after the 30s when the Depression hit, or excuse me, 29, and then after that, people there's this exuberance, man. They just want to party and drink liquor, and prohibition kind of went away, and life got really good on the farm for a while. So this is just like our World War II is the way I kind of look at it. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
In terms of like screwing up the whole,
forever, so I mean, everybody's got to get out and have a good time, and that's where we're going to come in. So
we'll get good, and I look forward to seeing you guys gigging around. Tell me,
Sure.
do you have anything like some of your recent gigs where you've done something that you have on YouTube or any of that stuff? Have you got
Everything's
anything?
being revamped to be released.
Okay, cool. Well,
Now,
that's
the reason I
excellent.
say that, we're already into 2021.
Yes.
We had gigs for New Year's that's been turned down.
Right.
So we're on this plane where we're setting up for 2021. We're already planning
Right.
for Bike Week. We're planning for Sturgis. We're planning for Summerfest. We're planning
Great.
for festivals. We're way ahead of it. And that's another thing, like what I was saying in the beginning, COVID was kind of a happy plus for us because for the first time, bands can sit down and literally look at their schedules, even with their labels, and you can work out things you never got to work out before because it was
Right.
so much of a rush to do it. Now there's not that rush. We can literally go, yes, no, yes, maybe,
Right.
no. And I was gonna get back on the topic for a second because
Sure.
you were saying about each member. I'm sorry, Neve. I'm like you. I go left and
Yeah,
right.
that's all right. I drive a train ride.
I'm serious, Neve. So this man came in after, and the one thing that caught me, and he's our rhythm guitarist, was he told me two things. The first thing he said was, "I'm the rhythm guitarist." Didn't want lead, wanted rhythm. He just wanted to stay in his lane, which reminded me of how the Patriots, even though a lot of people don't like the football team, their philosophy is do your job. And
Right.
he doesn't want to step on anybody's toes. And in some bands, it's that rhythm guitarist and that lead that there's some clashing. Well, there's no
Sure.
clashing here. But the second thing he said that really grabbed me was he's like, I want to be friends. We should be able to go out. We should be able to go hang out, have a drink, go out somewhere and enjoy ourselves as friends. And when you
Yes.
said that, that's what sold me. Each and every one of them said something, but it was the fact of the veteran minds that's sitting in front of you that told me this was finally the entire band that I've been looking for my whole entire life, and it's been a very long time. This man and this gentleman are not only a team, but they're brothers to where they can sit down and work out everything together where there's no stepping on each other's toes and I want to do this and I want to do that. I'm telling you, I'm saying it to your face, never in all my bands have I ever seen a guitarist and a rhythm guitarist sit next to each other when the lead and the rhythm is sitting next to each other and there's no animosity.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I've seen the same thing. It's very rare. And, I kind of like the the Patriots philosophy. Do your freaking job, because if you have a guy who's a great rhythm guitar player, who's just like, I can go down the list of people. Of course, everybody will jump to Keith Richards, but I can just go down the list of great Brad. Looking at Aerosmith, their guitar interplay. Everybody knew their job, especially on those first albums. There's a lot of session shit going on nowadays, but the interplay. It's everybody's got a role in any band, and you've got to be smart enough as a player to adapt to what are the strengths of the band and what your strengths are you bring. And the fact that you guys have worked that out, it's like pretty cool, because you're right. Most of the time, it's a competition. There's always kind of a pissing fest, and it's not always that way. There's a lot of great people, but the fact that you guys know what you do. It's like Tom Petty playing with Mike Campbell, I mean, it's just a perfect match, and I like that. And ensemble playing, that's part of what's cool. Like, I look at you guys, there's 5 of you sitting here, and God knows you might have another member or two come down if you start making money and things pop again. And, my point is, though, people forget what a real ensemble plays like. You can only get so much of the fix through the television set.
And
like, you guys are great. On video, after we've all had 2 years of video, we all are going to want to go out, on the other big stage and move some air with a big PA and make people out there. Fun. So
big.
Yeah. And I want to say, this is like my dream band has always been a 5-piece band, of course, since I'm a Queensryche, freak and everything. So I needed to have,
Makes 2 of us.
This first band I've ever been in, I've never been in a 5-piece before. It was a trio, and then 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Now it's a 5-piece. The dream band, man.
it adds so much room.
God.
I'm sorry, go ahead, mate.
But
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. Go ahead, because she was saying something.
I was done. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You said it perfect when you said there's no fighting. These guys came together, and everybody is 100% on the same page. I'm still
really
amazed every time we talk. I'm still in shock, because all these years, all of us have been in bands. We all have our stories. But for the first time, I think maybe that was the thing that helped us. We don't have that hump on our backs, because all of us want to do the same thing.
Right.
And for the first time, nobody wants anybody else's job. That is, I'm sorry, but that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
And I think everybody I know everybody wants to make everybody else feel safe, so we can create together. You can't be a creative person if you don't feel safe. You know what I'm saying? You can't perform, you can't do your job if you don't feel safe with the people who are supposed to be supporting you.
Well, it's hard to write songs with people that you don't know, and it's like when you do a lot of songwriting and you try and write with different people, it's like it's a process, and it's just like learning to do anything. So when you have a new band, when you get all these the songs you're doing all perfect, and you go out and play them the whole time, you're going to be out playing a dozen tunes. It's going to feel really great. They're going to be so freaking tight by the end of 6 months or a year of playing it every night. The timing, and what I was going to say earlier when I was thinking about the gumbo and Secret in the Sauce was, I understand that you guys are using multiple tunings, which I caught my ear and I went, oh, I like this. You like multiple tunings and shit, that grabs my ear, because I've got a broad taste, I like music, a lot of different kinds. That's something you don't hear every day. You guys
talk to these two men here, because for the first time, there's not going to be a band that you only hear one tuning the whole darn night.
Yeah,
excellent.
We're doing like half step, C and B, going to the drops of both of them. A lot of good stuff in drop C. A lot of the newer stuff, the heavier stuff, you're getting into drop B, and it's a really crunchy sound. Real, the machine gun type, the ga ga ga, the really heavy.
Drop D is in there too.
You can't really get much heavier than drop B. So,
Right. Oh yeah.
We'll find a way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm sure she will.
You
I
can
don't know
get a
if I
bigger
could- I don't know if
bass,
my Floyd
more
could-
strings.
I was gonna say
I
that.
don't know if you can.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can tune a Floyd.
Yeah,
lower
we
than
both
that.
have Floyd Rose on both our guitars, so they love those tunings. Yeah.
Oh man, I know. I always like it. It catches my ear because everything's it's like very bland a lot of the time. And, bland can sell stuff, but I don't know. You get to, there's such a craft to good songwriting, and you know it when you hear it. And it's like having people like having a guitar players who have their understanding and they like to make each other better, kicking each other's ass once in a while, not like in a really good complimentary fashion. You push each other to better playing. I mean, I know as a drummer, like I'll be playing along with the guitar player's lead, like I'll start bell riding or doing something to accent whatever he's doing. Right? It's not until you've played for that while where you're all tight and you're just like crisping it, and then you can really start to push the envelope in the live show. I have a feeling you guys are going to do a great job at that. Just knowing that you take the time to use alternate tuning tells me, well, this is going to be fairly sketched out. It's not going to be,
It's not
dollar
gonna be your
beer night
standard
rehearsal.
day at the bar or anything like that. It's not gonna be your standard
Yeah.
band. It's not gonna be anything.
That's
like
what no.
anything I've done in the past, or I don't know.
Our
Yes.
philosophy is I feel sorry for the band that goes on before or after us.
Right?
That's
That's the
easiest way for me
burden
to say.
sometimes you have to bear.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
Better, it's like that song by Dr. John. If I don't do it, somebody else will. If I don't do it, somebody else will. Can I tell you, man,
And
Well,
despite the headliners sabotaging our sound, we're still gonna upstage them. We don't care. We've
Right?
got the power. We don't need your
Oh,
PA.
yeah.
I love it. Well, I always like, wiring up some kind of a minor corrective device, we'll call it, for, especially your recalcitrant monitor engineers. You have to be able to have it assignable. So when he's really pissing you off, you can just light him up once in a while. Gets your attention at least for a second time, always works for me. What do I know?
Right.
So what are y'all doing for Christmas? You going to be at home? You traveling? How are we doing with the Christmas front?
I'm opting out.
Music.
Okay.
That's exactly. That's it.
Music.
That's it.
And a couple of more packages of music.
Well, don't worry, I'm sending Ozzy over. He's bringing a tray full of brownies of questionable origin, and there's a lump of coal for each of you because Santa's upset that he left you his brownies. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say Merry Christmas, guys, and thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you.
I'm gonna wake up
I'm
at
hoping-
5 a.m.
No,
I'm gonna wake up at 5 a.m. and start banging on the drums to wake all the parents up in the neighborhood.
Merry Christmas. It's time to get up and open your gifts.
Hey, man, you and me are going to get along good, buddy. That's what they call the drummer's
Marshall does
quarters,
go to 11, so.
Yes.
And what about you? Are you planning? He's kind of a quiet guy. He sort of reminds me of like some garden variety Unabomber type of dude. He's real quiet. And he's thinking
What do you call it, right?
Oh, that's a
His act speaks volumes.
Carry a big guitar.
There you go.
I'm going to go home tonight, and I'm just filing. No, I'm sorry. No, I hope you all have some great musical things going on in the holidays. I really do. And whatever's going on in your life the past 6 months, if it's been any bad, I hope it gets way better. We're coming into a new year, and you have a plan. Seems like everybody seems to be doing their job, as it's supposed to say. And I look forward. I want to hear you. So call back with progress reports. We'll have you on. I want to put you on, playing some music.
Awesome.
awesome. Sweet.
All right. Well, do you have anything to add? Where anybody should kind of keep their eye out for you? Any promo of anything that you'd like to tell the audience before we get off?
Just remember the name, IRATE.
Yeah.
That's
Have an
right.
irate day.
We are.
Have an irate day.
Get out
Hey,
there
I
and
would-
watch some live bands after all this COVID bullshit.
Yes. Yes. Get out there.
All
Support
right.
your local bands live.
Support live bands, whatever. Don't care what they are. Support them. They're out there putting it out there, taking the risk. Put your mask on and get your ass out there.
Yeah.
Everybody, we're signing off. I'm live with IRATE, and now it's time. I'm going to go and start feasting like a pig because it's Christmas. And I am starving, and I can. Bye-bye. Live
Bye,
with me.
Casey.
Later,
Thank you.
Later.
All right. Rock on, people.